Do you know anyone who loves uncertainty? If you're like me, you don't even like it. I mean, if you have a broken heart and you go to a friend and say, how long is this broken heart going to last? When's it going to be gone? And they say, oh, in a little while. Or you go to your doctor, you got this life-death thing happening for you or someone you love, and they say, you'll get the results in a little while, Or like a guy I met this morning waiting to hear back about his work permit, and they're just told, in a little while. I mean, who likes that kind of an answer? Parents are the only ones, right, who think in a little while is a valid response. A kid says, I'm hungry. When are we going to eat? In a little while. Or you're on vacation maybe, and the kid says, when are we going to get there? In a little while. Or you got this 5-year-old that wants a cell phone. When can I have a cell phone? Like my friend who got one when they were 2 years old, right? In a little while, in a long while. There's one big exception though. There's one being in the universe that when they say, as a response to our questions, in a little while, it gives us hope, it gives us purpose, and it gives us certainty, John 16 in the Gospels, in the New Testament part of the Bible, Jesus is having this discussion with his disciples. He's getting them ready he's going to go and be crucified on the cross, and he wants his disciples to have perspective and hope. And he says, in a little while, you won't see me, but then in a little while, you'll see me again. And they're confused. What are you talking about? You can read about it. So they don't understand what he means by a little while. And so Jesus uses the illustration of a woman that's having a baby. And after the baby arrives, the pains of childbirth are forgotten because of this much bigger joy that she has over this precious life that she's brought into the world. And so basically, Jesus is saying something about little whiles that we don't think about because we dread them. We don't see purpose or hope, and we lose perspective. But Jesus is basically saying here that they're going to be temporary. Did you hear him? He said, in a little while, you won't see me, but then in a little while, you'll see me. In other words, they're temporary. Same conversation. He says, in this world, you're going to have trials and sorrows, but take heart. I have overcome the world. See, it's always temporary. Second, he not only gives us that kind of hope because of the temporary nature of our little whiles, but he gives us a sense of purpose. God's doing something in that little while. It's like the very little while he was preparing his disciples for. Jesus is about to be crucified. How many of that fulfilled a pretty big purpose? Jesus took our failures, our mess-ups, our sins on himself so they'd be paid for. They could be cleansed away. And we could have a closeness to God. And so Jesus, a little while he was on the cross until he rose from the dead, that little while served a purpose. He loved us enough to do that for us. And not only are they temporary and purposeful, and that brings encouragement, of course, but they're also certain. Yeah, the outcome is certain. The outcome of a little while is certain when you trust Jesus with it, because he says at the end of this life, we're going to have a joy, and he says no one will take away that joy. Right in that same conversation in John 16 with his disciples about little whiles. And so every heartache, every pain, every sorrow, every separation, every injustice that you and I experience are going to be on this side of heaven. We're going to a place where Jesus says you're going to have joy and justice and peace and love, and it'll be forever. I remember one time when I was early in my teens, my dad was driving me on this private road. We were on a canoe trip in Nova Scotia out on this private road, and he let me drive, thrill of a young teenager. I was off on a private road, but here I was driving, and I wasn't very good. I was overcompensating for a turn that was way up there. I'd turn too early and head for the ditch. I'd see what was in front of the car, and I'd overreact to it. And he said this. He said, if you look further down the road, you'll drive better where you are now. And that's what Jesus is trying to say to us. If you're in a little while, he's basically saying, look further down the road. Let the outcome determine your present outlook.